Welcome into the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey. Today's show is a 2023 NFL Draft Big Board specifically for the Dallas Cowboys. So it is different than my just player grades big board. It factors in various Cowboys needs. It factors in positional value a bit more heavily. And I just pulled the quarterbacks off because they weren't going to be there for you. Anyway, we got 30 players. We'll go quick early on because these guys aren't going to get to you. Will Anderson. I would love Peter Skoronski in there at left guard. He ain't going to get there. Jalen Carter, if he is there, you probably don't want him. Devon Witherspoon, Christian Gonzalez. Those players are great. I would be, maybe Skoronski gets like 12 or something, but I would say that these guys are all off the board inside your top 10 picks of this year's draft. So great players. I love them, but you're just not going to find a way to get them in the end. Top 10 rounded out here. Tyree Wilson, Paris Johnson, Broderick Jones, probably off the board before the Cowboys get to pick. Now, there's a scenario in which Brian Branch and Joey Porter Jr. are on the board for you, and I would love to get them. Now, this is my board, I didn't want to go like, this is what I think the Cowboys would do. So I want more opinion stuff here in the end. I would love Brian Branch. I think he is a top 10 player in this year's class. You don't need a safety. You don't need a nickel, so I don't really care. Like, you will find a spot for him, and he would thrive under Dan Quinn. I think he'd be a Pro Bowl, if not all-pro caliber player. If there is a CD land this year, it's probably someone like a Joey Porter Jr., who, again, I don't think will slide, but like Branch and JPJ are like two names I wanted to at least mention on that standpoint. Now, we will be live on the Chat Sports YouTube channel for every single pick of this year's NFL Draft, all the way down to Mr. Irrelevant. So make sure you guys are subscribed. It's youtube.com/@chatsports. That link will be in the comment section and, of course, the description of today's show. Speaking of round one, right into some of the more realistic candidates here. Who do you think the Cowboys will select in the first round of this year's NFL Draft? Go ahead and sound off and predict it for me in the comment section. Best spot is going to be the pinned comments of today's video. Head down there. Let me know who you think the Cowboys will select in the first round of this year's draft. All right, I don't think Nolan Smith gets to you. I would take that in a heartbeat, though. I think he'd thrive in Dan Quinn. He's a better run stopper than I give him credit for. I would be on board getting Nolan Smith in round one. I would say better chance he goes top 10 than he gets to at 26. That's why he's number 11 on this board. Some recent buzz and maybe Myles Murphy slides. I think there's your long-term Tank Lawrence replacement. He's pretty high up on my board. Edge value, cool, like that one there. 13, I'm not scared of taking a tight end early. Michael, we do this every year. We nitpick the consensus top guys. We're going to do the exact same thing with Brock Bowers next year. You watch. Michael Mayer has been insanely productive at tight end for 3 years at one of the biggest college programs in football. That's Notre Dame. Michael Mayer is a good blocker. He is not slow. Stop claiming that. It's just wrong. Michael Mayer is a 78th percentile athlete. That's fine. Like, he's not a freak, but he gets open. He's a blocker. He would thrive in Dallas. And he fits what I think Mike McCarthy wants. I would enjoy Michael Mayer being a Dallas Cowboy. In the end, I think he's off the board before the Cowboys get their chance to take him in the first round. Now, today's show made possible by Z-Biotics. We get a lot of super chats here on the Cowboys Report. I don't always bounce back the next day unless I use Z-Biotics. It's a 3-step process. Have a Z-Biotics before you start drinking. Drink responsibly, and then get a good night's sleep. And enjoy tomorrow because you're not as hungover. Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. They make an enzyme to break down the byproduct ZBiotics does. It's designed to work like your liver does, but in your gut where you need it most. So drink ZBiotics before drinking alcohol. Drink responsibly and get a good night's sleep to feel your best tomorrow. Give ZBiotics a try for yourself. Go to zbiotics.com/chatsports to get 15% off your first order when you use code CHATSPORTS at checkout. They are backed by a 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Head to zbiotics.com/chatsports and use code CHATSPORTS at checkout for 15% off. A big thank you to ZBiotics for sponsoring today's show. Number 14, Jaxon Smith-Njigba, my number one receiver this year. There's some slot overlap, which I don't love as much because I want to keep using Lamb there in the slot, but you take the number one receiver. Again, I don't think he's there for you, so I'm not going to be mad at it. In the end, I'd be happily surprised if any of my top 15 players on this board actually fell to you, and I would not be upset if Dallas took one of them. And yes, that top 15 includes Bijan Robinson, the running back from Texas. I did factor in positional value here. It's important to do, I think, in this type of scenario. My overall just not factoring that stuff in, he's a top 10 player for me. He's a top 5 player for me. But it's a matter of how long do you get that player. You get him for 5 years? 6 years? Less than that? Because remember what Bijan's going to want is if you take him, he's going to play 3 years and say, pay me. Pay me now. So the idea of draft running back, running the ground, doesn't work as well with the first round pick. With that said, I would take him at 26, and I'd be fine with it because it's 26, not number 6. Do you want to draft him in the first round this year? Why for yes and for no? Sound off in the comment section. This is my board. That's why Osiris Torrance is so high. Not everyone feels the same way. It's fine. I get it. Not everyone has to feel the same way about Osiris Torrance. I see a mauler. I see a guy that never allowed a sack in college. I would take him, plug him in at left guard, and be very happy. Just behind him is Darnell Wright. Recently, it's kind of moved up the Cowboys fan wish list in general. I think he's gone top 16. I don't think he gets to you in round 1 because he's a tackle. I'd play him at left guard in this scenario, but I take him in round 1. I wouldn't be mad at it. He's like a top 25 player on my overall board, not factoring positional value. I think he gets to you, though. Deonte Banks, cornerback out of Maryland. We'll see if he gets there or not. I've heard he could not go in round 1, or he could be the third corner off the board. He's 4th for me. No complaints there in round 1. I don't love Lukas Van Ness as like a true first-round grade, but at pick 26, inside, outside flex, finally, he reminds me of George Karlaftis. Long, athletic, big edge who likes to win with power and needs some more moves, but I think he would do a great job, and Dan Quinn would probably be your long-term Tank Lawrence replacement, too. He could, of course, rotate for you like most defensive ends do early on in their careers. Now, don't miss any of our NFL draft coverage right here on Chat Sports, youtube.com/@CowboysTV. We'll have pick reactions. We'll do grades after each day. Don't miss out. youtube.com/@CowboysTV. Said I wasn't scared of Michael Mayer. I'm not scared of Darnell Washington either. Absolute freak athlete, massive human being. I have been on the Darnell train since mid-season, before it was cool. If he's there at 26, I think he will be, by the way. This is the first guy outside of Torrance I think will be there. I'm not going to be mad at that pick. I think Will McDonald deserves some more conversation around him being the first-round pick for the Cowboys. I think he's there for you. I think he goes back end of round 1. Dan Quinn loves him. If you're going to go offense-heavy on day 2, day 3, maybe you let Dan Quinn get his one player, and then, like he did last year, offense pretty heavy beyond that. Dan Quinn showed a ton of interest in Will McDonald. Don't sleep on him. If I had to put, odds, McDonald would be maybe my 3rd favorite, 2nd favorite, somewhere in that range. My gut tells me Dallas could very well take him. Emmanuel Forbes out of Mississippi State. He is 166 pounds, 6 career pick sixes. He is liposuction to Aqib Talib. That's who he is. I think he's off the board. I'd have interest, though. Steve Avila is the ultimate fallback player for me. If you're picked over, if you want to go with the quote-unquote safe selection, which doesn't really exist, Avila's a plug-and-play guy at left guard, could play some center for you. I would not be mad at it. It'd be kind of more in the B range for me. I would rather gamble on one of them tight ends, but Avila at 23 is kind of the cutoff of like, I'm not going to be upset. I am fine with that pick. And Dallas has proven if they take a lineman in round 1, tends to go pretty well. So what is your confidence level in the Dallas Cowboys drafting this year? 1 to 10. 1, of course, on the low end, 10 on the high end. Sound off in the comment section. Some guys I have some concerns over now, but it would also be fine first-round picks. Dalton Kincaid, seam stretcher, bad blocker, back injury. If you trust the back, maybe you feel higher about that. But the back scares me. Quentin Johnston is a big possession receiver who plays like a small guy. So if he has the after-catch ability you crave, if you can teach him to just high point the football and be stronger, he could easily be the number 1 receiver in this year's class. It's just a big-time gamble there. Jordan Addison from USC, the wide receiver. I like him. Great route runner. Did vertical, short area stuff too for the Trojans and for Pitt. He's just slender. Zay Flowers, I like. Again, all these guys are kind of in that, I'm not mad at it, but I wanted somebody better for me on the board. Flowers is maybe, I would not be shocked if Flowers is at least your number 2 receiver taken this year. Jahmyr Gibbs, number 28. He's a running back. He's explosive. He would have been higher on this board for me if you didn't have a similar player already in Tony Pollard. I think they're best getting to the outside, being explosive, pass catching. But again, running back it's probably a 5-year commitment. I think you find a 10-year guy in round 1. Drew Sanders, linebacker out of Arkansas. Bit of a run on offensive guy. Who's a defensive player for you. I think he's Anthony Barr. And good Anthony Barr is worth the first-round pick. End of career Anthony Barr? Certainly not. He can blitz. He can come off the edge. But he wasn't as effective as other just straight-up blitzers there. So that's a red flag for me. Back end of I would love him in round 2. Lukewarm in round 1. And then number 30, Kalijah Cansey out of Pitt. I've been burned by Ed Oliver. I am scared over the T-Rex arms. He's got small arms. That will matter in the NFL. The length matters. A 2-inch difference in just straight up, it's 2 inches is not very big. But when you're adding or subtracting 2 inches, that's a lot. Ask your girl. Like that does matter, Jeremy.
2 inches is a lot.
Straight up, just individually, no. But adding or subtracting 2 inches, it matters. It does. That is a real concern. So I love the athlete. I don't love him in round 1. I think there'd be a better player on the board for me. It's just a red flag that I happen to have here. So this big board was made specifically for the Cowboys. I will be posting on Tuesday my just non-team need specific big board. So hit me up on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney for more coverage there. And some other players I want to give some mentions to. All defense here. Felix Inudike-Uzama, who I would love him in the second round. I don't think he gets there. Bijan Jalari, Mozzie Smith, Trenton Simpson, Brian Brzee. Brzee and Smith scare me because they're all upside. They're all upside players. They're not proven yet. Simpson, I don't like in round 1. I'll take him in round 2, though, pretty quickly. So I think you'll have a player in that range for you in round 1. That top 25 on my board. It's just a matter of do you get lucky and the top 15 or top 20 player is there for you.